Like Demi Lovato, who's a person who we've all heard of but still don't know what she does exactly.
She's a singer?
She's a singer, and I think she's one of, like, she probably does a lot of guest judging spots on various like vocal and voguing shows. I actually saw an ad for a show about voguing that Jamila is a judge on, and I think Demi Lovato is a judge on too. I've seen the ad.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Because Jamila came out in support of her when she spoke out against the frozen yogurt store in Los Angeles, because they're both Munchausen sufferers.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the Patrick Sandberg tweet.
Yeah.
Because this really resonated with a lot of people. I sent it around and I'll read it now. On Demi Lovato. A bipolar, bi-curious, self-harming, bulimic bullying victim, alcoholic, cocaine-addicted heroin junkie with ADHD who is a pansexual, queer, non-binary, and survivor of child abuse, childhood neglect, and rape, bedeviled by heart attacks and strokes, legal blindness, and brain damage.
Wait, he fit all of that into a tweet?
And a Real Housewives gift that says True Munchausen Syndrome.
Wow. She's like the American Jamil. No wonder they're friends.
Of course they're friends.
Anyway, I was watching the kind of ad for the show, and I was like, wow, not a single person on the show is without mental illness. Mm-hmm. This is like a rate my mental illness show. AKA
the voguing contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't, like, you can't gut voguing of all of its, like, coolness and expect anything to be left, you know?
And hire two awfuls. And I know that Jamil and Demi Lovato are both women of color. Bear with me, but they are politically awful. They are
Demi
white.
Lovato is, like, what race is she?
I think I'm going to either go... She's either Latinx or Italian masquerading as Latinx.
Because I don't get a POC vibe from her.
I just assumed she was Latina. But I don't know. We can fact check this. Is she also a Gemini? She's like on so many levels of crazy.
She's August 20th.
Leo.
Oh, she was from Mexico.
Okay. There you go. I knew she was so yeah, they're both like WOC, but they're actually awfuls. Like they're like so politically and culturally white. Mm-hmm. Like,
oh yeah, she was like a child actress too.
Yeah, she's a Disney girl, right?
So she's been through a lot.
But if you go on a Twitter tirade against a frozen yogurt company, you are, for all intents and purposes, white. I'm just putting that out there.
Of course, and completely unwell.
Yeah. And she came out as non-binary, I guess that's the story, and she said she was proud of it.
In March 2021, Lovato came out as pansexual and sexually fluid first. This is now before coming out as non-binary. In March, she said, "I've always known I was hella queer, but I have fully embraced it."
This is like such an elaborate way of saying that she's fat. It's like that scene in 30 Rock where the Alec Baldwin character is talking about overeducated coastal elites, and Liz Lemon is like, Jack, just say Jewish. You know, it's like that thing.
Yeah.
So she has eating disorders. She has drug addiction. She has other mental health issues. She
bulimic.
Suffered. She said
bulimic bullying victim. I thought was wonderfully said.
It was, yeah, beautiful. She's had 3 strokes and a heart attack. Sorry, they have had 3 strokes and a heart attack when they were hospitalized for an overdose in 2018, and was also left with some brain damage.
Okay.
Clearly also undiagnosed Munchausen's.
100%. Yeah.
Like 200%.
I feel like there's a lot of that going around because probably of the medical industrial complex, you know? I think doctors are very reluctant to diagnose people with Munchausen who come in like, you know, complaining of like weird phantom symptoms, and they can extract a lot of money for them by doing like unnecessary weird surgeries and procedures and testing and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to just like keep going to doctors and being like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like,
yeah, they're like, you have a long COVID? Demi?
Yeah. I just feel crazy if I don't get tons of attention all the time. You've got to help me, doctor. Maybe you could amputate my arms.
We should bring back that mental disorder, which was kind of like A&E briefly toyed with bringing it to light back in the 2010s.
Which one?
Like people who like get off on amputating parts of their body.
Yeah.
That's another kind of like extended Munchausen's kink that people have.
That feels like a different thing, but related. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all kind of like, I mean, you really have to like up the ante, basically. Like you can't stop.
I
but
know.
yeah, she
well,
belongs
non-binary
to,
is kind of the final frontier.
Yeah. Well, I saw a really horrifying thing called now instead of like merely transitioning and swapping your genitals, there's something called nullification surgery, which is like,
I saw that, which makes you like smooth.
Yeah. It turns you into like a Ken or Barbie doll with like,
they literally like castrate you or like sew you shut.
Yeah, I guess you have to have like a hole, like a cloaca, like an all-purpose poop chute. Yeah, that's where we're headed.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. But like the crazy thing is, you know, I'm on my like Ivan Illich medical tip again, but the crazy thing is like these people think they're being radical and progressive when they're literally just marching with the tides of history, because there's like, you know, Alex Jones was right, and there's like so much chemicals in your water and your plastics that we're all being nullified anyway.
Exactly.
Like it or not.
We're in a nullified era.
Nullify my love. Demi Lovato is also like one of these like very moist and leaky people. Like she has that Janice Soprano like perennial victim grifter, like disabled grifter vibe, you know?
Yeah.
The disabled grifter thing is, I came across on the internet this woman selling merch that literally said disabled grifter, and I was just like, so you're like self-aware in what you're doing? And then I plagiarized the merch for our spring-summer collection.
For our new summer line.
But I feel like this type of person is nothing new and typically female. It's just that they've been empowered because of social media.
That's what sucks about it.
Yeah.
And I was saying, well, Courtney Stodden, who we'll get to, also came out as non-binary recently. And like the cognitive dissonance of like looking at Courtney Stodden and then having to use they them pronouns, which already are like just grammatically incredibly are inconvenient, and it makes me feel like a hostage, you know, where like a very like incredibly female presenting person is, and I'm sure Demi Lovato is not going to like start to look more non-binary. Maybe she will. No. She's probably going to keep like
Lovato
presenting in the same way that she has been. Yeah. But we have to affirm her identity by like disrupting our syntax to refer to them as they thems, and that's how it goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I feel like we've been on this tip for like the past few episodes, but it's like, yeah, these people, it's a hostage situation. They want everybody to change their natural and organic reaction to reality. They want them to modify it or customize it to suit their kind of bottomless need for attention, which like, I'm like Jordan Peterson. I have a warbling Kermit like voice, and I will respect your pronouns, but like I will also call out the sheer madness. I mean, I feel like something tells me also that non-binary is not the cure-all that Demi is looking for.
I think she's gonna find
it's not really
gonna have some other problem.
She's gonna have to, and it's like, you know, as usual, she's, you know, self-medicating with more of the same of what ails her, essentially, you know,
attention.
Yeah, like she's fixing the problem by re-administering the problem. Like the issue is not that she suffers from repression, aka a lack of options,
which is what she attributed her drug overdose to.
Yeah, it's that she suffers from self-expression, which is like too many options, you know.
I mean, she's probably legitimately very traumatized from her childhood and definitely has a lot of troubles, but yeah, as you said, I don't think it's serving her to continually like amend her identity to make herself into more of some kind of display.
I mean, my advice is to these people is always the same. Instead of manufacturing new traumas and identities, you could just make some art Like, isn't that the best therapy?
Yeah.
Like, make a record about it.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you know,
penning a tell-all.
Yeah. She's not penning a tell-all.
So she sold a TV show recently
about eating disorders. Yeah.
And was in the news also relatively recently after she called out like a frozen yogurt place in LA.
Story.
I'll just read what she said. Finding it extremely hard to order froyo from at the Big Chill Official when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies and other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please. So I think I'm going to have to make that hashtag a thing. I will be calling harmful messaging from brands or companies that perpetuate a society that not only enables but praises disordered eating.
So she's mad that this brand was perpetuating, quote, diet culture.
Yeah.
By like marketing their products as like sugar-free or like weight loss.
Well, so then they said, we're not diet vultures. We cater to all our customer needs for the past years. We're sorry you found this offensive. Explaining that they were like the dairy and sugar-free options were for like diabetics or vegans or like
people with celiac disease. Yeah. I don't know if she's going to be mad at like a brand, and of course Jamil stepped in on her side,
of course,
but it's like
go on.
How am I forced to? I feel bad that I'm forced to defend a brand against these two like trauma vultures, you know. It's like, I'm sorry, if you're a recovering anorexic or bulimic, like, how about not setting foot inside of a frozen yogurt store? That's probably not the best place for you to go if you're still on shaky ground, you know?
Right. If you're going to be triggered.
Yeah. Just like, don't auto trigger and then take it out on the rest of us. But yeah, I think like her problem is that she thinks like oversharing incessantly to anyone who will listen will bring her kind of like inner peace and clarity, and it actually will do the opposite, which is continually up the ante on the sort of like traumas and identities that she has to invent to stay in the public eye.
Well, so that's basically what she then did. She responded again to the store and said that her whole experience there was triggering and awful. You can carry things for other people while also caring for another percentage of your customers who struggle daily just to even step foot in your store. One of the deadliest mental illnesses, only second to opioid, spelled wrong, overdoses. Don't make excuses, just do better. Then she accused them of gaslighting her and posted a picture from their Instagram that included a sign that said, that used like guilt-free messaging, which she said was the kind of the crux of why it was problematic for them to offer sugar-free options and frame them as, quote, guilt-free.
Yeah.
And that's when Jamila jumped in and said, she's just one of few celebrities reminding us to look out for mental illness. Definitely.
Totally,
yeah, she's really getting her and Jamila are really getting the word out on mental illness more than they need to. Guilt-free is diet culture terminology. We need to stop using that fucking term. We are so lucky to even have food. What in the name of shit and hell is there to feel guilty about? That's a term of shame. Orthorexia is easy to slip into and is a fucking nightmare to crawl out of.
Wait, hold on. What's orthorexia?
It's like when you're anorexic but you are obsessed with like health food.
Okay.
Like it's basically just another term for anorexia, but it's like when
it's like healthy anorexia.
It's like what I had in Los Angeles, where I was like, I'm like, bread is toxic. I can't like eat sugar, dairy, like, and you really like restrict, but kind of based on this really like LA kind of moon juice framework of like, you know, which people with Munchausen's also
they totally
do.
love to do, which actually makes you fat, because if you eat like sugar-free and fat-free options, you actually end up gaining more weight.
Is that true?
Well, fat-free, definitely. If you eat skim stuff, yeah.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because your body needs fat, and it actually, like, if you eat lots of fat, you can, it's like the principle of the keto diet, like fat and protein first.
It's the carbs that
are bad, and the refined sugars and stuff like that. Like, you should be eating, like, high-fat stuff, like fish and avocados. That's actually how you stay thin. And, you know, keeping your portions moderate. It's
all about the small portions.
I can't say it's easy, but it's very simple.
Yeah. I think it is simple.
It's not the hardest thing to figure out how to stay slim.
Just hit the gym a little bit.
Yeah. And like,
you don't have to do all that.
Eat healthy things stuff. And you don't have to,
some kale every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
get lots of color on your plate.
I'm lucky because my palate is very like, I like eating like cabbage and like anchovies. Like those are the foods I probably eat the most. And I do like froyo.
Yeah, froyo is delicious, but it's like also chock full of like weird like chemicals that are used to make drones and whatever.
What are you talking about?
Like it just like has all like plastics and whatever in it. I'm
Microplastics.
Kidding. I'm sure, because it's not like, I think like froyo is like probably not made from natural ingredients.
What are you talking about?
Is it? I'm sure. Like you know, when you go to like, this is not a froyo story, but when you go to like Cold Stone Creamery, I was going to say Stone Cold Creamery. The ice cream tastes chemically. It doesn't taste
I'm not talking
natural.
about your like Baskin Robbins.
Okay.
I'm talking about like, I'm sure the Big Chill is like probably a kind of like high price point, more refined. Like if you go to that place, it's called like Culture or something on Broome Street.
Yeah.
By that spot, Daphne, where they sell biologic research products. Once again, not getting paid for any of this. Anyway, it's like it's like a Greek froyo place, and I'm pretty sure it's just like literally frozen yogurt.
Yeah, that I would buy in New York, but I feel like the Big Chill is probably one of those places that like looks like that sugar candy store and like blasts reggaeton and is open 24/7 and has a lot of air conditioning. I was getting that vibe, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, I've actually worked at 2 frozen yogurt shops. Okay. So I'm actually kind of qualified to talk about it.
Okay.
I worked at like a Korean one in Las Vegas when like Pinkberry first popped off, and there was kind of like a froyo craze around 2008.
Yeah.
So I worked at a place called Tarte that hired like high school girls who wore tank tops that said Tarte.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Berkeley, I worked at a place called Yogurt Harmony. And something I learned is that there's very different like laws around like probiotics and dairy storage in California and Nevada, and I'm sure it differs wildly by every state. And I think like at Yogurt Harmony we did just pour like, which is funny because it was more of like a hippie yogurt place, but we would just pour these like pre-bought like boxes of like pre-mixed yogurt stuff that probably were full of like corn syrup and weird bullshit.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you go to like a nice like one,
high end, like a Gigi and Bella Hadid froyo place.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll have to. I think we're both
we've talked too much about
topic
froyo.
To fact check whether the Big Chill.
I'm trying to find their
is a
Instagram.
High end or mid market frozen yogurt place.
If anyone knows, I can't even find their Instagram anymore. Oh yeah, it has like neon, very like millennial branded. Yeah. But
they're actually sponsored by Israel.
It's for like Instagram people to go to, so it's probably schlock. Anyway, I might get some froyo later after.
Yeah, that sounds good. I might actually too.
That sounds nice.
But yeah, I don't know. This isn't exactly Demi's problem. It's like a problem of women being too empowered on the internet in general. You know?
Yeah, they're definitely getting too much screen time.
Yeah, and it's like, it's bad because again, kind of the onus is on you to constantly tell your story. And if you're going to tell your story, that means your story has to be like riveting and interesting on some level, but we're all desensitized to like the normal amounts of trauma.